The St. Louis Cardinals have two of the hottest hitters on the planet right now, leading the way as they take down the Braves to win their fourth in a row.
You are Locked On Cardinals, your daily St. Louis Cardinals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Hey there, Cardinals fans. I'm J.D. Haffern, and I'm a national radio sports anchor, born and raised in the Lou, and a lifetime Cardinals fan, and I'm your host for Locked On Cardinals, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. You can follow me on Twitter, X at JD Sports Radio. You can follow the podcast at LO_Cardinals. Want to thank those of you who make Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. We are free and available wherever you get your podcast. You can also find us on YouTube. Again, thank you to all of you who got us to the 10,000 subscriber mark and growing. Let's go to 20. Why the hell not, right? And I appreciate all of you guys. If you haven't subscribed, make sure you do that. If you like what you're hearing here on this Locked On Cardinals content, make sure you're commenting and interacting with us so that you can be a part of the show. Hit the notification button so you know when new episodes are posted. This is a show serving Cardinal Nation and giving the best fans in baseball all of the info about the birds on the bat. Today's episode brought to you by PrizePicks. The easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports is by going to PrizePicks. Go to prizepicks.com/LockedOnMLB and use the code all lowercase LockedOnMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. So, all smiles here at Locked On Cardinals right now. They are on quite the run. Quite the run. It's fun. And I, for one, am going to enjoy every little morsel of it. If there's something that we learned about from last year's ugliness, is that we should not take for granted how good the Cardinals have been over the years, because living like some of these other teams that don't win a lot very often, I don't want to be them. It was not fun in 2023, and it wasn't a fun start to 2024. It seemed like we were going to go down that dark path once again, but the Cardinals are playing some of their best baseball yet. They're doing it right now. On Monday, they take one from one of the best teams in baseball. And in normal Cardinal fashion, they had to make it a sweat fest at the end with Helsley walking a couple people and giving up a couple hits and scoring a couple runs. But in the end, he picks up the save, and they hang on to get that 4-3 victory. There are a lot of reasons why the Cardinals have been winning a lot more recently, and we're going to go into a few of these things here in just a bit. But I want to focus on two people right now, two individual hitters, and that's Alec Burleson and Brendan Donovan. On Monday night, the two hitters combined for 5 of the team's 11 hits. Burley goes 2 for 3. Donnie was 3 for 4. They each drove in a run as the Cardinals offense does just enough against Brave starter Spencer Schwellenbach, which is a doozy of the name, by the way. That's got to be tough. Imagine trying to spell Schwellenbach when you're like a little kid in school. Like, what was that like on his Scantron sheet when he had to do the ACTs and stuff like that, where you got to fill out each box? Like, that had to be a pain in the butt. So tough for you, Spencer. But I don't feel bad for you from last night, because the Cardinals show no mercy. No mercy right now. Get their 40th win of the season. So how hot have Burleson and Donovan been? Well, let's start with Alec Burleson. Over his last 30 days, hitting .271, which you're like, okay, that's good. Nothing special, right? 7 home runs, 16 RBIs. Those 7 home runs, by the way, tied for 5th in Major League Baseball over that time span. So no, a chump number right there by any means. Like, that's good. More recently, though, he's been even better at the plate. In his last 15 days, he's hitting .354. In his last 7, he's hitting .458. That's pretty good. That's pretty good. Now for Brendan Donovan. Last 30 games for Donnie, he's been quite good, right? Hitting .344. 5th highest batting average in all of baseball during that time frame. His last 15 days, he's up to .392. And in the last 7, he's a ridiculous .480. His .480 average is second in the league to only Bryce Harper, who might be the leader in the clubhouse for the NL MVP now. I remember at the beginning of the year, I was like, so Mookie Betts has got this wrapped up after just a couple of weeks, right? And now he's hurt. It's going to be out for a long time. He cooled off, and here comes Bryce Harper, who's just doing wonderful things for the Phillies. So he's got the highest average, but right behind him, there's Burleson and Donovan. Now, Burleson's 458. Nothing to sneeze at. He's 6th in the league over that time span. During this team's 4-game winning streak, Burleson and Donovan are a combined 18 of 30 with 4 home runs and 14 RBIs. Burleson has gone 9 of 14 in the 4 games, while Donovan has 9 hits in 16 at-bats. Donovan also has driven in a run in 7 consecutive games now. I mean, both of these guys have been instrumental in what the Cardinals have been able to accomplish since things began to turn around on that fateful day, May the 12th, Mother's Day, in Milwaukee. And we're going to continue to go back to that point because that is where this team took off. That is where Oli got ejected. Remember, he got thrown out of the game, lit a fire under their butts. They win it 4-3. At that point, their record stood at 16-24. Not good. Since that point, if my math is correct, they are 24-13. I'm horrible at math. I honestly am. I'm not good at that stuff at all. So if I'm wrong, just let me know. But I'm pretty sure it's 24-13 now. And their last 30, they are 19-11, which is the second best record in all of baseball to the Cleveland Guardians, and is the best record of any team in the National League. Now, more specifically in the game on Monday, another big reason for the win outside of Burley and Donnie and the offense doing what they needed to do was the start that they got from the big Bronco himself, Lance Lynn. Lance Lynn, and I got a great picture of Lance Lynn, by the way. Here you go. Ooh, solid, right? Just look at him. Just screams everything we love about Lance Lynn. Over his previous 4 starts in June, Lance Lynn hasn't been great. Had pitched only 17 2/3 innings in those 4 starts. Again, here we go with math, but I believe that's like 4 1/3 innings per start, which is not what you're trying to get. That is not what they were expecting when they signed the 37-year-old right-hander. He was supposed to eat those innings, right? Along with whatever else he wants to eat in his life. And that hasn't been happening. The team was still winning, though. They go 3-1 in those 4 starts with Lance Lynn getting the nod, but none of them go to Lance Lynn because he doesn't pitch long enough. And for good reason. Other teams were hitting him. It's not like this was something where, oh, he got worn out and just had to come out of the game. No, he was getting clobbered. In those 17 2/3 innings, he allowed 17 runs. Now, 12 of them were earned, which tells you a little bit how the defense has failed him in those starts. So not entirely his fault that these innings kept going, but he's given up 23 hits. Only 2 home runs, though. He has drastically cut back the home runs from what was going on last year with the White Sox and the Dodgers. He's only walked 7, which is better, but he's punched out 20. So the whiffs are still there, which is great, which is something you love to see from Lance Lynn. But the ERA over those 4 starts, 6.11. The opponents are hitting 295. Not great, Bob. But on Monday, it was a different story. Monday, Lance Lynn was very, very good. Very good. Held a Braves offense that, granted, doesn't have a lot of their big names in the lineup right now. Reigning MVP, Ronald Acuna Jr., out. Michael Harris, the second, out. Ozzie Albies left last night's game because he got dizzy because of the heat, we think. But he held them to just 1 run on 4 hits. And the key, in my opinion, to this, 0 walks. He's not putting people on because that's what gets him in trouble. You know, he walks 1 or 2 guys in an inning, and then it just kind of gets out of hand, and then he's gone. Didn't have that problem on Monday. 0 walks over 6 2/3 innings. Great job. Great job. The 1 run was indeed a solo shot by Austin Riley, but it happens. Pitch up and away, outside part of the zone. Wasn't a horrible pitch. Austin Riley's a good hitter. So that happened in the 5th inning. But outside of that, Lynn was excellent. I got nothing but praise about him. According to Lynn Worthy at STLtoday.com, Lance Lynn entered the outing leading NL starting pitchers in no decisions. He's got 10 of them so far this year in his 15 previous starts. And he also led the majors in unearned runs allowed, 13 in 75 innings. And after Monday's outing, I didn't realize his ERA was as good as it was, but he's now dropped down under 4. He's at 3.86 on the year. Pretty good. You'll take that, right? You just want him, at least I do. It's these 4 inning outings where I'm just like, come on, man. You got to get at least through 5, and the goal is obviously to get through 6. but he was great. He was great on Monday. I'm not going to sit here and needle him about some of the starts previously in the month. Last night was good, so let's focus on that. After the game, he spoke with the media saying, I can do some things when I get in a rhythm and able to use them, so right now I'm in a good spot. We've been building to this. Also probably didn't hurt to have his buddy Willson Contreras back there behind the plate again, so I want to talk about the return of Willson, what it means to the team, and about this amazing fast return. Like, how did he do it? Crazy stuff. We'll get into it next on Locked On Cardinals. Here on Locked On Cardinals, we pride ourselves on getting you the latest news for your team, whether it's the offseason, the draft, which is coming up, spring training, playoffs, which we're hoping for. It's year-round, and you know what else is year-round? Unfortunately, collection season. Yeah, just because tax season is over does not mean the IRS is just taking the rest of the year off and is going to stop coming after you for your unfiled taxes. The IRS can garnish your wages. They can levy your bank accounts and even seize your property. So don't let the IRS target you. Let the licensed professionals and tax experts at Tax Network USA go to bat for you. I'm somebody who's got a complicated tax history when it comes to each year because of how many jobs that I go through, and it all gets a little confusing. So you got to go with the experts in situations like that, don't you? Make smart move by going with people who have over 14 years of experience and an A+ rating by the Better Business Bureau. Tax Network USA has saved their clients over $1 billion in tax debt. See what they can do for you. Whether you owe taxes, have these complicated matters like me that require some better tax planning, or you finally hit that parlay this season and need help correctly filing, they can help you with all of that by calling 1-800-549-1000, or you can visit tnusa.com/lockedon. You can also check out the link in this episode description down below and in the show notes. Why wait and keep stressing over all of this? Reduce your tax debt and get help from a team of licensed tax professionals by calling 1-800-549-1000 or visit tnusa.com/lockedon. Get supplies from the site that's made for the skilled trades, SupplyHouse.com. Now, SupplyHouse.com, it's the reliable way to order your plumbing, your HVAC, and your electrical products online. Like, who wants to go shopping in stores anymore anyway, right? Their easy-to-use website. It's packed with helpful resources and the latest product information to help you get the job done right. So you can shop this complete inventory. Crazy stuff. Over 200,000 parts from over 400 top brands, and you get your order delivered right to your door with fast shipping, and it's from coast to coast. No matter where you're watching this episode from, they can find you. Need help with an order? Get expert support and industry-leading service from the friendliest folks in the business, and you get to talk to a real person every time, which is something I always appreciate. Pros in the skilled trades can get a competitive edge by joining SupplyHouse.com's free Trademaster program. Now, every Trademaster gets access to a dedicated phone line. You get free shipping and discounts on every order. So join the thousands of trade pros who are already benefiting from their free membership at SupplyHouse.com/TM and order plumbing, HVAC, and electrical supplies from anywhere with just a few clicks at SupplyHouse.com. Are you watching Fox Sports or ESPN on your TV all day and have to turn down the volume with all that shouting? Then make the switch to Locked On Sports Today. It's free 24/7 sports streaming channel. It's programmed for you every day to bring you the biggest stories without all the screaming. Locked On Sports Today brings you can't miss analysis. You get opinions, you get news, and it's all streaming 24/7 on YouTube or the free Amazon Fire TV channels app, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, covering your team every day. Now, remember, you can also catch every pitch of the Cardinals' hometown broadcast with SiriusXM. Just download the SXM app and search the word Cardinals. Braves still in town. You got the Reds after that. So it's been a nice, long homestand, which is good for the Cardinals, who have been very, very good at home. Another big piece of the Cardinals puzzle that's been missing during this recent surge to the second wild card spot in the National League is Willson Contreras. Now, Willie made his triumphant return from his fractured forearm and did it on Monday, well ahead of schedule, right? Like, it was not supposed to be this quick. Not only did he call a solid game on Monday with Lynn, who looked great together, like they never missed a beat, but he also contributed offensively. He got a single, had an RBI, got a run scored in the win. He was a big piece of this. Like, they threw him right in the middle of it again. Like, it wasn't like they're like, okay, timing at AAA, a little bit different than what goes on in the major league. So let's get him down here, sit him in like the number 6 or 7, holding up, threw him right into the meat of the order, had him batting third on Monday, and it paid off. After the game, he said, I like to be challenged. And when I heard 8 to 10 weeks as the approximate recovery time from the medical staff, I was like, Then when I went on social media, people thought I was out for the season. And that made me laugh because they didn't know what they were talking about. But thanks for the comments because you guys pushed me and I pushed myself and I'm back. So Willson Contreras throwing out a little love to all of our trolls out there and the naysayers who doubted Willie. Apparently you helped the cause. So thanks, I guess. Now I didn't notice, to be honest, I didn't notice any talk among our Locked On Cardinals crew about anybody saying, he's done for the year. This season's over, because I never really saw any of that. Almost everything I saw from you guys was all words of encouragement. And that is because you guys friggin' rock and are real fans. But his return in just 6.5 weeks, I mean, it caught a lot of people off guard. And there were still some people yesterday going, doesn't this seem like are they pushing him? Is this a little too early? But he covered all the bases. Like, he did everything that he needed to do to prove that he was healthy enough, swinging the bat, able to catch on back-to-back days. Like, I mean, the medical staff had no reason to say he didn't need to play. So it was nice. And it amazed me. It amazed fans. It amazed the media. It also amazed his own teammates, who John Denton at MLB.com has said that they've now nicknamed him Wolverine, by the way, because of the titanium plate in his arm. I don't mean to nerd out a little bit, but it's not titanium in Wolverine. Adamantium is the name of the metal that is inside Logan, also known as Wolverine, but I regress. By the way, you got that new Wolverine Deadpool movie coming out. Who would be the Deadpool to go along with Wilson's Wolverine? Let me know in the comments section. Who do you think it should be? Just in time for the new movie to come out, right? It's happening in July, I think, right? Anyways, Denton got some quotes from a few of his teammates. Closer Ryan Helsley had a really good one. He said, it's crazy how quick he got back, and it's a testament to how hard he worked and how much he cares about being here and helping us win. When he went down, I was thinking we'd probably have him back at the beginning of August. Then we started hearing All-Star break. Maybe. Now he's already back, and we're still in June. That's insane. Manager Oli Marmol said this about Willie's return as well after the game. He cares about winning more than anything. It's a really good trait, man. How he talks and his actions are no different. He wants to be in the lineup to help us win, and that's all that matters to him. This is a guy who brings a lot of competitive edge, and people feed off that. It still shocks me. If you look up Willson Contreras, Chicago Cubs, you'll still find people talking and telling stories about a totally different Willson Contreras than we've known in his time in St. Louis. Like, you don't hear as much of this praise about Wilson in these other stories and stuff. Like, you hear other things and you're like, it's not the Willson Contreras we know. This guy's been outstanding as a person, as a teammate. All the hell he went through in that first season, which was not his fault. Basically pitting him as part of the problem of why they were losing last year, which he wasn't. I mean, everybody had issues with things last year, but, Wilson just was a real man and stood up during all of that. It was just like, I'll do whatever the team needs me to do. I just want to win, and fought his way through it and earned the respect, I think, of the organization, of the teammates, certainly of the fans. We all adore him now. And that injury, the injury was devastating. You knew something was seriously wrong when it happened. And at the time that it happened, I'm sure many of you thought the way I did, like, how are they going to survive losing this guy? Because on May 7th, when the injury went down, the Cardinals were not a good team. You remember? They were in a bad spot at the time. They were not winning. They weren't hitting. Pitching wasn't great. Bullpen was still good, but starting pitching was still we're still figuring it out. And now they were going to lose the guy who was hitting consistently and was providing a spark in the middle of the order. And it seemed like they were going to be doomed, but the boys were able to persevere. You got to see young guys like Ivan Herrera and Pedro Pajes. They get valuable playing time. And let's be honest, they did hold their own in the place of Willie's absence. Like, neither of them are the offensive weapon that Willson Contreras is. We know that. But it's not like the position just became like an automatic out, became like this black hole in the lineup. I mean, Herrera, who's out with the back issue right now, he hit 318 while Willson Contreras was out. 318. Had 8 RBIs. Didn't get much power in there. But 318? That's pretty freaking good. Paez, he had the 2 home runs against the Cubs, which was phenomenal. If you're going to do it against somebody, do it against the Cubs, right? Also had 8 RBIs since getting brought up. Now, the batting average is not great. I think it was 161 is what I saw. But he has seemingly taken the starting catching duties away from Ivan Herrera due to his framing ability, his ability to throw better from behind the plate. It's much better than what Ivan Herrera offers you. So the combination of them together, pretty good in the place of one Willson Contreras. So that should be acknowledged because they held down the fort pretty darn well, and the Cardinals won a lot while Willson was out. But now Willie is back, and with the trust in Paez behind the plate, Contreras doesn't have to be back there all the time. He can take more time at DH as he builds his body back up to where he was before the injury. And the Cardinals, you think, will be fine. They won't miss a beat because they've had that time with Pedro already to get to know him, and he clearly calls a great game, and the coaching staff loves him behind the plate. Pitchers do. It's a good spot to be in right now. So as bad as it was when Contreras went down, a lot of good actually came out of this. The Cardinals learned some things about their catching depth, and that's an invaluable thing to have moving forward towards the trade deadline when you've got some other prospects in your organization that also are catchers. Maybe they're a little more expendable now. Maybe another team could use one of those guys in exchange for a veteran starting pitcher. We'll see. We'll see. Bernie Miklasz put together a list of some of the other reasons why the Cardinals have been the best team in the National League since May 12th. And one of those reasons actually might surprise you a little bit. We're going to get into that next here on Locked On Cardinals. PrizePicks is America's #1 fantasy sports app with more than 5 million members. PrizePicks is the easiest and most exciting way to play daily fantasy sports. Unlike other apps on PrizePicks, it's just you against the numbers. You don't have to face anybody else. No ringers are coming in to make you look foolish. All you do is go up against the numbers. You pick more or less on 2 to 6 player stat projections, and then you watch your winnings roll in. Get in on the daily action with your friends and become part of the PrizePicks community today, because right now you can win up to 100 times your money on PrizePicks with as little as 4 correct picks. You can turn $10 into $1,000. Who doesn't want to do that, right? Put that money towards a little summer vacation. Hey, spoil yourself. Get you some of those nice seats down behind home plate at Busch Stadium with the money. And if you're looking for promotions, PrizePicks has got you covered there, from lowering select players' stats projections on Tuesdays, which is today, to help your lineup hit, or you get your entry fees back if you have a losing lineup on Friday. So something to keep an eye on there. You've got the finals are all over in the NBA and the NHL. Congratulations to the Florida Panthers and on your Stanley Cup championship. But because the NBA is over, there's a little thing called the WNBA. I don't know if you've heard about that. Kind of a big deal right now with Caitlin Clark and company. You've got her. You've got Angel Reese. A lot of people excited to watch WNBA action, and you can win up to 100 times your cash watching them ball out. So download the PrizePicks app today. Use the code LOCKEDONMLB for a first deposit match up to $100. That's code LOCKEDONMLB on PrizePicks for a deposit match up to $100. Pick more, pick less. It's that easy with PrizePicks. Locked On has launched the first ever national sports 24/7 streaming channel on YouTube. It's also now available on Amazon Fire TV in the free TV channels, or the free Fire TV channels app. Locked On Sports Today. It's here for you 24/7, which is great, covering the top sports stories of the day with the local experts of Locked On, plus our national shows, which cover every league. You can find Locked On Sports Today now available on the free Fire TV channels app. So, Bernie Miklasz wrote a piece at scoopswithdannymac.com on the reasons why the Cardinals have become better. You can say what you want about manager Oli Marmol. shouldn't have gotten the job. That's fine if you feel that way. Shilk got screwed over. Should have never got rid of him. It's fine if you feel that way. Oli should have been fired last year. Should have been fired this year. It's okay to feel that way. It really is. The one thing I kept bringing up when talking about Oli, and people always go, "Oh, he doesn't belong here. He should be fired." I'm like, it's okay. I get it because the results are not what you want. They're not winning. But through it all, he always had the backing of the front office. They always believed in him. They always stood by him. Hell, they gave him an extension after a 91-loss season. Who does that? I myself thought that was a little premature. I wanted him to prove that he could go out and do this thing before they gave him something like that. But front office said, no, it's not his fault last year. We believe in him. We're going to give it to him now and just squash it. Upset some people at the time. I don't know how many people are upset about it now. But the other people that had the back of Oli Marmol was always the players. You never heard them complaining. There was never a mutiny. They always talked glowingly about their manager, at least the ones that are still here. Okay? And now with the Cardinals turning things around, he's starting to get some credit for it. And Bernie Miklasz, as I mentioned, scoops with DannyMac.com is where you can read it. Gave a bunch of reasons why the Cardinals have turned things around. It's a long list of stats and stuff, and Bernie's really, really good at those things. So I encourage you to read it for yourself, including throwing out some love from my boy Michael Ciani. I'm starting to think I'm the biggest Michael Ciani fan on the planet. Might be. But at the end of the whole article, he gives a little bonus reason why, and he gives credit to Oli. And here's what he says about the Cardinals manager. The manager deserves credit for holding this team together. He won't get any credit. That's just the way it is around here. Many, not all, and the best fans in baseball colony have made up their minds, and that's all there is to it. The Cardinals reached their low point of 15-24 on May 11th, but Marmol didn't freak out or put on a cheap show by dogging players in public to curry favor with fans. He stayed steady. He expressed confidence in his players while also speaking in a straightforward manner about the bottom line necessity of doing better. Marmol has done the best he could with a roster that's been frayed by injuries and an embarrassing front office failure to come up with a fifth starting pitcher. The effectiveness of Marmol's bullpen management is defined by the team's outstanding record when leading in the late innings. He's cultivated additional sources of quality of relief to expand the bullpen depth. With Marmol engineering the usage patterns, the St. Louis bullpen is the fifth best in the majors based on win probability added. And I'm in the same boat as Bernie is here because Oli he's never going to win everybody over. I mean, there were people who didn't like Tony La Russa while he was here, despite all of the winning the Cardinals did while Tony was manager. Didn't like him. Didn't like his attitude. Didn't like the things he did. Didn't want him around. It's going to be the same way for Oli. He's never going to win everybody over. So what? Trying to make everybody happy is impossible. It is impossible. The Cardinals are now winning games. That's what we want. That's what we want to see, right? I don't care how they do it. Just win, baby. They're playing with confidence. You can see them joking around on the field, having fun. They're laughing. They're smiling. They look like a team. Last year, they didn't look like a team. Last year, they looked like a bunch of depressed individuals just walking around sulking all the time. This year, camaraderie, friendship. You're seeing it out there. You can just tell that there is a good vibe going on with everybody. They're a fun little bunch. It's a nice community of teammates inside that locker room this year. They're playing with spirit. You're seeing attitude. It's going to get even better with Willson Contreras being there because he brings a lot of attitude, which I love. They're also playing entertaining baseball. They're doing the small things. The defense has gotten better. Michael Ciani, my man in center, injured, making a diving play the other day. What was he doing the first inning on Monday? Makes another fantastic diving play. This time he pops back up and feels great, which is good because I was like, oh boy, here we go. I was nervous he was going to get hurt again. But you're seeing it. Nolan Arenado is out right now. Hopefully he'll be back here soon. But, he's played better over at the hot corner. It was an ugly start to the year, but he's played better. Mason Wynn up the middle with Gorman. They played better. You see, they tried to make that flip play yesterday. And it might have worked. It might have worked if they'd have been able to handle it. Ball up the middle. Gorman dives for it, flips it with his glove, trying to get it over to Wynn so he could throw it over to first. Would have been cool. Didn't work this time. I don't know if they work on that in practice or not, but still, doing things like that, you can just feel they exude confidence right now. I want to give some credit to pitching coach Dusty Blake. Look what he's had. We killed this guy last year. I killed this guy last year. A lot. Not a whole lot of complaining going on here, considering the level of pitchers that were brought in. Not a lot of superstars outside of Sonny Gray, but look, it's working. It's working. Hitting coach Turner Ward, everybody wanted him fired. Things are turning around, right? Bench coach Daniel Descalso, been huge for this team. And everybody else who's a part of the staff, who just stayed the course, despite the fans at the gates with their torches, threatening to burn it all down. I'm not coming to any more games. Some people are still staying away. I mean, you look at the attendance, you got an announced attendance of 6,000 last night. And then you look at how many butts were actually in the seats. You're like, ooh. So I don't know what it's going to take to get these guys back to Busch Stadium. But you're missing a hell of a show by not showing up, because they're winning and they're doing it in a lot of fun ways. They weathered the storm through all the ugliness early on this year. And now they got Willie back. And guys like Tommy Edman, Lars Nootbaar, perhaps Jordan Walker at some point, they should all be back ready to contribute as well. This team could actually get even better. It could. But let's not get ahead of ourselves. Let's enjoy it while we got it. And let's just game by game, right? Let's just game by game. Let's not get out of control here. They got the win on Monday. Tuesday night, you're going to have Kyle Gibson set to return after missing his last start when things didn't go so well in warmups. He had to get scratched, which threw the Cardinals into panic mode because they weren't ready for that. And they just had 2 extra innings games against the Marlins. And you're like, oh my God, how are we going to get through this? They end up losing that game. But he's back. And hopefully everything goes well in warmups today and don't have to worry about it. And we get the same Kyle Gibson that he has been all year, which has been pretty freaking good. The Braves are going to counter with Reynaldo Lopez, who he was on 3 different teams last year, guys. 3 different teams. And now he's on the Braves, and he's 5-2 with a 1.57 ERA. Explain it to me. I don't know. I don't know how the Braves do it all the time. But he's been very good so far this year. Last 3 starts combined against Washington, Baltimore, and Detroit. He's allowed just 2 earned runs while striking out 21 in 17 innings. In fact, the last 2 starts, he hasn't allowed a single run. Those 2 runs came in that first game against Washington. Nothing to Baltimore or Detroit. So going to be another tough test for the Birds tonight at Busch, but that's what you want. You want to keep testing these guys and make sure they're the real deal. Last night, it all worked out. See how it goes down tonight at Busch Stadium. Thank you guys for making Locked On Cardinals your first listen every day. If you haven't already, give us a follow on Twitter, X at LO_Cardinals and at JD Sports Radio. Please like and subscribe on YouTube. Continue to help this channel and our love for the Cardinals grow. You guys are the best fans in baseball for a reason. We will see you next time on Locked On Cardinals.